Welcome to Sharika Talks, Unraveling the Truth, a journalist's quest. Subscribe for the truth.
Chapter 11, A Trail of Soul and Secrets. As the little girl who Sachin never expected to be a headache climbed onto the upper berth to sleep, he exhaled deeply, a breath of hard-earned relief. The girl, Sharika, had admitted she was researching him. Her words had felt casual at first, just the harmless curiosity of an aspiring journalist. But the moment she dropped that bombshell Chugru was his classmate, he was rattled. Deeply. The connection wasn't public. It couldn't be. He was now determined to wipe that digital footprint before it went any further. Too risky. For Sukanya, for Deep Enterprises, for everything. He recalled the brief panic he felt upon hearing the news, hoping fervently that his fear hadn't shown clearly. He tried convincing himself the girl hadn't noticed. After all, she was just a kid. But taking unnecessary risks was never Sachin's style. Even the immense risks of the past weeks had been unavoidable. Had he not acted when he did, the next opportunity might have come after another 12 years, or perhaps even 144 years, long after he was gone, which was practically never. The mere thought tightened his grip on his bag, a weighty reminder of the extraordinary lengths he had taken in the past hours. His hand tightened around the strap of his bag. The weight of what it carried still pulsed in his palm. He could feel it even in sleep. He replayed those final hours again. The chaos, the heat, the danger. His heartbeat spiked. Did I leave a loose end? He had barely slept since that moment when he found out the last clue. The lack of planning time gnawed at him. But he had covered as many tracks as he could, masked the footprints, scrambled the routes. Now, all that remained was to get to Delhi without triggering any alarms. Sachin unlocked his phone and clicked open the newsfeed. His eyes were burning, begging for rest, but when he read the headlines and the news articles, they widened. He took a deep breath. Less of a footprint than feared, he thought. But the danger wasn't over. Not yet. He had to sleep. He needed clarity, because what awaited him in Delhi would change everything. As dawn broke, a soft amber glow seeped in through the scratched train windows. Sharika's eyes remained open. She had not slept. Not even for a second. She had spent the entire night poring over links, watching news clips, scanning local forums, and following breadcrumbs, digital and mental. At first, it was instinct, a gut feeling she couldn't ignore. Now it was a hunch solidifying into a theory. And she had to act. Around 2:30 a.m., when the coach had grown deathly silent, she began her plan. She kept checking. If Sachin stirred, if he shifted, if he opened his eyes. He didn't. His breath was slow, his posture heavy, out cold. She had read somewhere that human sleep is deepest between 2 a.m. and 4 a.m. That's when most road accidents occurred, when drivers dozed at the wheel. She waited another half hour. Then, cat-like, she descended from the upper berth. First, she rechecked a few facts she had overlooked earlier and confirmed it. Then she started executing her plan. She had a cover story ready just in case things went south. Then, holding her breath, she completed her task. Flawlessly. Not a stir from Sachin. And then, just as silently, she climbed back to her berth, her mind humming with adrenaline. The first thing Sachin saw when he awoke was a short-haired girl with a crepe bandage on her arm, calmly scrolling through her phone near his leg. For a moment, he felt disoriented. Then memory returned. His pulse spiked. He checked the bag. Still there. Still in his grip. His fingers had locked onto the strap in sleep, like a baby holding onto a blanket. His head throbbed. He'd finished the second of his 3 one-liter Bacardi bottles yesterday. The burn in his throat confirmed it. "Good morning," Sharika said cheerfully. He returned the greeting with a nod and a chuckle, remembering how the previous day had started, with her falling on him. He made his way to the restroom to freshen up, took another small sip from his disguised bottle, and came back. The smartwatch on his wrist read 8:40 a.m. The train was slowly rolling into Gwalior railway station, right on scheduled time. Ever visited the Taj Mahal? You know, the greatest symbol of love? Agra is our next stop. Sharika asked conversationally as they bought breakfast and began to eat. She was determined to engage him in conversation, hoping to obtain his phone number for her research. He nodded. Yes, and every time I've been there, I couldn't stop thinking of the surgeon Shah Jahan had killed, the one who tried to save Mumtaz. Sharika blinked. He continued, They call it love, but it was a woman dying on her 14th delivery in a war camp because a king couldn't bear to leave her behind. He paused. And maybe he loved her, but love doesn't need marble to be remembered. It needs mercy, and she got none. That's not love. It's guilt dressed in marble. An emperor mourning a womb he exhausted. His voice softened. You want to see real love? Some say it's at Santa Margherita de' Cerchi, Florence, the Beatrice Church. But in reality, there is an even better symbol of love in India. Where? She asked, genuinely curious. Go to Sabarimala. Sharika frowned. The temple? He nodded. Ayappa, a god who chose to remain celibate, not out of denial, but devotion. He loved a woman, Malakapurathama. She asked to marry him. He said, only when no new devotee comes to see me. She waits at the temple, even now, alone, dressed for a wedding that never comes, because each year millions still arrive, and so he keeps his word. That is love. Not the kind that demands, the kind that waits forever, because a promise was made. Sharika finished her breakfast quietly. But isn't it just a temple and a myth? She asked gently. Maybe, Sachin said calmly, recalling the real story he had discovered years ago. But myths don't diminish the power of love and waiting. By the time the train passed Mathura, Sharika asked casually, May I have your number? He hesitated, then gave it. It wasn't uncommon for passengers to become friendly on long journeys. No need to raise suspicion. As the train left Faridabad, nearing Delhi's outskirts, Sharika called her uncle Aravind, her grandfather's old employee and protege. Aravind, currently the CFO of BBC India, 25 years ago, no one could have imagined he'd climb this high when he joined as an accountant for Aditya Varma, Sharika's grandfather. But Aditya Varma's mentorship had propelled him. When Sharika had applied to JML, Aditya had called Aravind personally. Now, Aravind was her local guardian. She had convinced them to let her stay in the hostel. I want to be independent, she had said. Sharika smiled, anticipating Aravind's shock when she revealed Sachin's truth. However, she knew absolute certainty was necessary before sharing. So when do your classes start? Are you staying in the hostel? Sachin asked after her call. Yes, my classes begin October 1st, she replied. Isn't that late? Usually postgraduate classes start by July or August, Sachin queried thoughtfully. Yes, but this year, because of the Mahakumbh Mela, the entire academic calendar was pushed back. University exams were delayed. Admissions followed. Hearing Mahakumbh, a chill ran through Sachin. Had he received his final clue a week or two later, he shuddered at the thought. As the train halted at Hazrat Nizamuddin station, Sachin gathered his belongings, putting on his shoes, bidding Sharika farewell, and swiftly disembarked. Knowing security at New Delhi railway station would be too risky, he chose the less crowded Nizamuddin station. Even a glitchy metal detector could trigger something fatal. Hazrat Nizamuddin had fewer checkpoints and a path behind the terminal slipping discreetly past metal detectors. He walked down the platform, away from the crowd, toward a waiting car. Ashwarya was there, as planned. The train began to pull out. Sharika, standing at the doorway, watched him. He wasn't heading toward the exit. He was moving toward the shadows, toward the end of the platform. And then he was gone. Sharika sat back in her seat. The once crowded coach was nearly empty now. She glanced at the crepe bandage Sachin had wrapped around her wrist. She had forgotten to return it. As she unwrapped it, her mind rewound to the previous night. She had never expected to find what she had. The news article had seemed vague at first. But as she dug deeper, it opened something far more sinister. News article: Temple footprint sparks security panic. Tiruvananthapuram, a suspected intrusion into one of the subterranean vaults of the Sri Padmanabhaswamy Temple, caused a brief but intense security lockdown last evening. At approximately 5:30 p.m., temple staff accessing Vault D to retrieve and restore lamps and ceremonial items for the upcoming Lakshadweepam festival noticed a fresh boot print in the dust near the inner sanctum. The vault had reportedly not been opened in over 5 years. The boy who discovered the print panicked and alerted the senior priest. Within minutes, the entire temple complex was locked down. NSG commandos, local police, and temple authorities conducted a complete sweep. CCTV footage was analyzed. Thermal scanners deployed. Nothing unusual was found. No signs of forced entry. No missing items. The official conclusion: the print likely belonged to an NSG guard who had accompanied the last official vault entry in 2020. Authorities confirmed the footprint did not match those of any current personnel. Rumors spread like wildfire across social media, especially after a photo of the print was briefly uploaded by a temple assistant before being taken down. Adding to the intrigue, several priests and people reported feeling a low tremor, a rumbling from beneath the idol, the day before the print was found. The head priest dismissed the claims it was likely thunder or vibrations from the afternoon storm. Still, whispers persisted. Sharika reread the article twice. Then she opened older reports. It had been the Supreme Court that ordered the vaults of the Padmanabhaswamy Temple to be opened for audit in 2011. The temple had a total of 6 underground vaults named A, B, C, D, E, and F, out of which A and B hadn't opened for centuries. C was used to keep the items for the yearly festival. D had the items used for the Lakshadweepam festival held every 6 years, and E and F were used almost daily. When Vault A in the temple was accessed, the world was stunned. Jewels, gold coins, diamonds, thrones made of gold, ceremonial attire stitched with gems, estimated at over 5 trillion rupees, without accounting for the antique value. If that too was taken into consideration, it may have surpassed the country's GDP. Vault B was different. Attempts to open it failed, and when the royal family of Travancore intervened, claiming the vault was cursed, the matter was left alone. They insisted it housed powerful tantric seals. That opening, it would flood the city. Coincidence or not, soon after the court insisted on unlocking Vault B, Kerala suffered one of the worst floods in its history. 102 lives lost. Vault B was resealed, but some older records spoke of 8 vaults, not 6. Vault B, some texts said, was only the entrance to deeper tunnels that had not been walked in centuries. Sharika's pulse quickened. She switched apps, scanned Instagram, Facebook, Reddit, Telegram. Finally, after nearly 3 hours, she found it. The photo, the footprint, a high-resolution shot posted in a private conspiracy group. She uploaded it to Google Lens. Thread pattern, sole pressure, ridge count, it matched. La Sportiva TC Pro, the same rock climbing shoe worn by Alex Honnold in Free Solo, the world-famous documentary about rock climbing. The same shoe Sachin had worn on this train. Her eyes widened. She had noticed it the moment she saw his shoes first. A nerdy detail, tucked in her memory. But now, it was more than a detail. Don't jump into conclusions, Sharika, she told herself. False news is as bad as the crime itself. He may not be the only one in the state with this shoe, and he had said he was on a field trip with kids. She dug further. Local forest department blogs, school trip schedules, archived Facebook posts. She found it. A group photo posted by a forest watcher on Facebook. Students lined up after completing a trek, dated 9 days ago. Sachin was there, in a corner, barely recognizable. The trip had ended a full week before the train journey began. Caught you, she whispered. Sachin wouldn't be getting out of his sleep soon, she knew. His water bottle smelled faintly of alcohol, probably white rum or vodka. But still, she had to act fast. She unzipped her bag and pulled out her wallet. In it, her Samsung Smart Tag 2. She had bought it for tracking her wallet 1 month before her Delhi trip. Now it had a better use. An Apple Tag was better, but in India, most people used Android phones. And as long as her tracker was in Bluetooth range of an Android phone, she could track it anywhere in the globe with her old Samsung phone in her bag. She double-checked the Bluetooth signal and battery. She had noticed Sachin's phone was a high-end Samsung phone. The tag would stay connected. Carefully, she climbed down. It was nearly 3 a.m. Everyone else in the coach was asleep. First, she rechecked his shoe, which was neatly placed under the berth. A black color La Sportiva TC Pro that confirmed her memory. Feeling the weight of her discovery, she determined to execute the plan she formulated. Unlike most girls, Sharika wasn't one who carried a makeup kit. Instead, she carried a tactical kit, a kit she made after her NCC camp. It contained basic first aid, safety pins, blades, needle, thread, a match, compass, all the basic survival tools. From her tactical kit, she pulled a tiny blade and needle. She made a tiny incision in the strap near the stitches of Sachin's bag and slid the tracker inside. Then, with practiced hands, she stitched it shut. He didn't move. Even asleep, his fingers gripped the bag like a lifeline. She finished. She curiously glanced at the bag for a second. The secrets it may hold. What would be in it? She really wanted to find out, but it was impossible without waking him up. She slid silently back into her berth, heart pounding, mind racing. As the train horn blared and Platform 9 of New Delhi railway station came into view, Sharika took a deep breath. Her boots hit the platform. As she walked out of the platform into the parking lot, Uncle Aravind waved from the Mercedes GLS. She smiled, but in her mind, shadows were stirring. She had just stepped into a world that would change her. But little did she know what she would uncover in the coming years is more than she could imagine. End of chapter 11. End of part 1, The Train of Threads.
Thank you for watching Unraveling the Truth, A Journalist's Quest. Subscribe to stay updated on Sharika's journey. Stay tuned for the next part.
Disclaimer. Unraveling the Truth, A Journalist's Quest is a work of fiction. The experiences, ideas, and theories presented by the characters, including the books they write, are purely fictional and do not reflect real-world events, beliefs, or ideologies. While some incidents and characters may be inspired by real-world scenarios, they are entirely fictionalized for storytelling purposes. The author does not endorse or share the viewpoints expressed by any character in this novel. Any resemblance to actual persons, living or dead, or real events is purely coincidental. Viewer discretion is advised.